Hare Krishna, Almahyana Timandasya, Shanam Salakaya, Shakto Unmilitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Chaitanyamanopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swam Rupakadamyam Dadati Svapadantikam. Vandeyam Shio Shiyuda Padakamalam, Shigaum Vaishnavam Shah, Shirupam Jagajatam Sakanaragnotam Vitam Tam Sativam, Sadvaitam Savadutam Parajanasaitam, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Sri Radha Krishna Padam, Sagana Lalita Shivashakam Vitam Sham. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Chatpati, Kopesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste, Tapta Kanchna Gauri, Radhe Vrindavanashri, Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamama Haripi. Vancha Kalpa Vishake Pasinve Visha, Patanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namo. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sati Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini. Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Dasatarana. Srila Prabhupada Ki. We are continuing with chapter 81, 81st chapter of the 10th canto. We will hear about the blessings today that Sudama received. We heard during the last 6 verses yesterday the inner doubts of Sudama. So we will start with reading again the last verse of these doubts, the last verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Adhanayam Dhanam Prapya Madhyam Ucher Namam Smarit Itti Kauniko Nunam Dhaname Boi Nadadat. Thinking, if this poor wretch suddenly becomes rich, he will forget me. He will forget me in this intoxicating happiness. The compassionate Lord did not grant me even a little wealth. So, Sudama felt satisfied to have had Lord Krishna's personal association, and he felt so ecstatic about it. But he felt that he himself, that he was very insignificant. We heard in the previous verses that he was thinking, as Krishna received me so nicely because he respects the tradition of the Varnashram to receive Brahmins very respectfully. Krishna is very much inclined to the Brahmins. But I'm even not a Brahmin, said I'm a Vihe, Bandhu, a friend of a Brahmin. But still he was so compassionate. He was not thinking Krishna received me nicely because I'm a devotee. He was not thinking himself even as I'm not a devotee. So this we heard also previously that Lord Krishna did not give Sudama any wealth because he did not desire it. So Krishna in the heart is like a desire tree. We want to be the controller. We want to be the enjoyer. Krishna gives us the opportunity and brings us to this material world. Similarly, if we desire to give up sense gratification and engage in devotional service and desire to go back to the spiritual world, Krishna will bring us back if we have that ardent desire. But we must give up this desire for sense gratification. So purifying our heart, purifying our desire. When our desire is genuine then and pure, Krishna brings us back. So Krishna fulfills the desires of the living entities that of course Sudama was averse to sense gratification. So what keeps us in this world is attachment and aversion. Aversion is also attachment, but negative attachment. It keeps us in this material world. And Krishna wanted Sudama to give that up. Therefore he saw, when Sudama saw all this wealth in Dwarka, he realized, oh, these devotees of Krishna, they are not averse of opulence, of wealth and so on. But they are using it in the service of Krishna. They think never it's mine. So his aversion went gradually away. And now, what will Krishna do? What will be his reciprocation? We will hear that today. So we go up, down. Now Sukadev Goswami is speaking. This is the verses 21 to 23. Sukadev Goswami continued. Thinking thus to himself, Sudama finally came to the place where his home stood. But that place was now crowded on all sides with towering celestial palaces, rivaling the combined brilliance of the sun, fire, and the moon. There were splendorous courtyards and gardens, each filled with flocks of cooing birds, and beautified by ponds in which Kumuda, Amboja, Kalara, and Utpala lotuses grew. Finally attired men and doe-eyed women stood in attendance. Sudama wondered, what is all this? Whose property is it? How has this all come about? The purport. Srila Siddhar Swami gives the sequence of the Brahman's thoughts. First seeing a great unfamiliar effulgence, he thought, "What is this?" Then noting the palaces, he asked, "Whose place is this?" And recognizing it as its own, he wondered, how has it become so transformed? He was very astonished. You see these descriptions of that palace, it's similar to the descriptions of Krishna's palaces. So he was very astonished. Text 24. As he continued to ponder in this way, the beautiful man and maidservants, as effulgence as demigods, came forward to greet their greatly fortunate master with loud song and instrumental music. Purport. As explained by Acharya Vishwanath Chakravarti, the word Pratyagrinan, they acknowledged in turn, indicates that first Sudama accepted the servants within his mind, deciding, "My Lord must want me to have them." And in response to the visible change in his attitude, they approached him as their master. So they came to greet him with songs and instrumental music. So we see how the consciousness of Sudama changes from being averse to being indifferent to all this opulence. So finally he said, I concluded that my Lord wants me to have it. That was his conclusion now. Text 25. When she heard that her husband had arrived, the Brahman's wife quickly came out of the house in a jubilant flurry. She resembled the goddess of fortune herself, emerging from her divine abode. Can someone read the purport, please? 25 on the screen.
Siddhar Swami points out that since Lord Krishna had turned Sudama's home into a heavenly abode, everyone living there now possessed beautiful bodies and attired appropriate to the resident of heaven. Siddhar Vishwanatha Chakravarti adds this insight. The night before, Sudama's poor, emaciated wife has been sleeping in rags under a crumbling roof. But when she woke in the morning, she found herself and her house wonderfully changed. Only for a moment was she confused. She then realized that this opulence was the Lord's gift to her husband, who must be on his way home. Thus, she prepared to greet him.
So that it's amazing, you go to sleep and then in the morning everything is transformed. That was also the case with the essence of Mathura when Krishna moved them to Dwarka. They went to sleep and then the next morning they woke up in another place. The beautiful palaces. So Krishna can do everything to please his devotees. When the chaste lady saw her husband, her eyes filled with tears of love and eagerness, As she held her eyes closed, she solemnly bowed down to him, and in her heart she embraced him. That's Vishwanath Thakur says, the Lord did not transform Sudama with his old cloth and protruding veins so that his wife would recognize him. Yeah, for the moment, that will change. Shiva Goswami, her eyes were filled with tears of love and longing. She closed them out of shyness. She embraced him in her mind, not directly. With her intelligence, she offered respect, thinking the husband is the one goal for women. When attraction becomes prominent, one may offer embraces just by a decision of the mind. 27. Sudama was amazed to see his wife shining forth in the midst of maidservants adorned with jeweled lockets. She looked as effulgent as a demigoddess in a celestial place. That was, yes, 28. So, with pleasure he took his wife with him and entered his house, where there were hundreds of gem-studded pillars, just as in the palace of Lord Mahendra. So can someone read the purport, please?
Shri Vishnu Chakravarti comments that Sudama was simply astonished at the sight of his wife, as he wondered, who is this demigod's wife who has approached such a fallen soul as me? The maidservants informed him, this is indeed your wife. At that very moment, Sudama's body became young and beautiful. Bedded in fine clothing and jewelry. The word prita here indicate that these changes gave him considerable pleasure. The famous thousands names of Vishnu, hymn of the Mahabharata, immortalized Sudama sudden appliances in the following phrases. Shridam Rakha Bhaktiya Tha Bhumi Anitandera Vibhuhu Hava. Lord Vishnu is also known as he who brought Indra's appliances to this earth for the benefit of his pitiful devotee Shridam Sudama.
Sridam, Sudam is mentioned in the Vishnu Sahasrama. That interesting. That's very nice. So these are similar purports. 29:32. We have now 5 verses with the thoughts of Sudama. The Sudama thinking that in Sudama's home were beds as soft and white as the foam of milk, with bedsteads made of ivory and ornamented with gold. There were also couches with golden legs, as well as royal chamara fans, golden thrones, soft cushions, and gleaming canopies hung with strings of pearls. Upon the wall of sparkling crystal glass, inlaid with precious emeralds, shone jeweled lamps, and the women in the palace were all adorned with precious gems. As he viewed this luxurious opulence of all varieties, the Brahmin calmly reasoned to himself about this unexpected prosperity. that so he began to think about the sudden increase of fortune. Yes. Text 33. These are now the thoughts of Sudama. Sudama thought, I've always been poor. Certainly the only possible way that such an unfortunate person as myself could be suddenly rich is that Krishna, the supreme opulent chief of the Yadu dynasty, has glanced upon me. That so he thinks himself still as an unfortunate person. That so he sees immediately Krishna's hands. Text 34. After all, my friend, Krishna is the most exalted of the Dasaras, and the enjoyer of unlimited wealth noticed that I secretly intended to beg from him. Thus, even though he said nothing about it, when I stood before him, he actually bestowed upon me the most abundant riches. In this way, he just acted as a merciful cloud. Yeah, this is the purport. Can someone read the purport, please?
Vishnu Chakravarti, he was thinking at the time, my dear friend has given me these grains of rice, which are greater than all of the treasure I owe, even though in his own house he had no such gift to bring me. He took the trouble of begging it from the neighbor. Therefore, it is only proper that I give him something more valuable than all my possession. But nothing is equal to or greater than what I possess. So all I can do is give him such a meager things as the treasure of Indra. Brahma and other demigods embarrassed at being unable to properly reciprocate his devotee offering. Lord Krishna bestowed his favor on the Brahmana silently. The Lord acted just like a magnanimous rain cloud which provides the necessity of life for everyone near and far, but feels ashamed that its rain is too insignificant a gift to give to return for a abandoned offering that farmers make to it. Out of shame, the clouds may wait until night time, when the farmers are asleep before watering their fields.
So, thank you. So, we have here the analogy of a rain cloud. A rain cloud gives relief from the heat. So the purport here describes Krishna's mood. Sudam gave Krishna more than he possessed, because the rice he gave was not coming from him. His wife begged it from the neighbors. So he gave more than he possessed. So that was a problem for Krishna. How can I reciprocate equally with that? Because Krishna is everything, possesses everything, is everything. So he cannot give something what is beyond him. So Krishna could not reciprocate equally. So it brings Krishna in a difficult position. So text 35. The Lord considers even his greatest benedictions to be insignificant, while he magnifies even a small service rendered to him by his well-wishing devotee. Thus with pleasure the Supreme Soul accepted a single palmful of the flood rice I brought him. That how Krishna reciprocated, or Krishna appreciates the smallest service we render to him. That was Sudam's staff. So this is the Krishna that we are serving, which we try to make the goal of our life. By serving him, we can get the eternal, and that is the greatest gift, the eternal. But the offering should be done with devotion. And by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, if Lord Krishna willing, our devotion will increase. So this Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Krishna thought that what he was giving to me, though great, was small. And that what his friend was giving to, though insignificant, was great. For that reason he accepted the rice offered by me with devotion. Text 36. So, the Lord is a supremely compassionate reservoir of all transcendental qualities. Life after life may I serve him with love, friendship and sympathy, and may I cultivate such firm attachment for him by the precious association of his devotees. So, purport. As explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Sauridam here signifies affection toward him, who is so compassionate to his devotees. Sakyam is affinity manifested in the desire to live in his company. Maitra is the attitude of intimate comradeship. And Dasyam is the urge to do service. So we want to identify ourselves with Sudama. And therefore we should identify with his conclusions. That after all wealth was presented to him, this verse expresses what he really wants. I read the verse again. The Lord is a supremely compassionate reservoir of all transcendental qualities. Life after life, may I serve him with devotion, with love, friendship and sympathy, and may I cultivate such firm attachment for him by the precious association of his devotees. So, attachment for him by the association of devotees and serving him life after life. That is what he wants. Therefore, Sudama was qualified to receive such benedictions, because of this inner attitude, wanting to serve the Lord life after life. That yes, and cultivate becoming more and more and more attached to Krishna just by hearing about Krishna in association of devotees. That now text 37. So the purport here. To a devotee who lacks spiritual insight, the Supreme Lord will not grant the wonderful opulences of this world kingly power and material assets. Indeed, in his infinite wisdom, the unborn Lord well knows how the intoxication of pride can cause the downfall of the wealthy. So wealth means power. One who is not spiritually pure means the ability to enjoy without power. One cannot enjoy. Without power, one cannot control. Without power, one cannot enjoy. And without control, one cannot enjoy. So you need power to control, and you need control to enjoy. So Sudam is saying that the devotees who are not deep, the Lord does not grant the opulences of this world. So we are hearing how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees, with the mood of his devotees. That if their devotion is not developed and not deep, and the devotees are not attached deeply to Krishna, then Krishna does not grant the opulences of this world, because it will deviate them. So, this is 37, right? Can someone read the purport, please? 37.
As explained by Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti, the humble Brahmana Sudama considered himself unworthy of the Supreme Lord's most rare and valuable benedictions, pure devotional service. He reasoned that if he had any true devotion, the Lord would have granted him perfect, unflinching devotion rather than the material riches and servants he had received. Lord Krishna would have protected a more serious devotee by denying him short, distinct distractions. The Lord will give a sincere but less intelligent devotee not as much material wealth as he desired, but as he desires, but only what will promote his devotional progress. Sudama thought a great saint like Prahlad Maharaj will avoid becoming contaminated by the immeasurable wealth, power, and fame, but I must also be weary of temptation in my new situation. We may understand that this humble attitude assured Sudama Vipra final success in his execution of Bhakti Yoga by the standard process of hearing and repeating the glories of Lord Krishna.
So, you have here, Sudam was thinking Prahlad Maharaj. He was a pure devotee, not me. And he gave them all wealth because Prahlad Maharaj was not attracted to enjoy it. But to me he gave wealth. Therefore, I'm not a very advanced devotee, he says. That Krishna, if Krishna would have given me instead of this wealth, unflinching devotion for him, that would be a great benediction. But by giving me this health, Krishna shows me that I'm not a serious devotee. So that was the thinking of Sudama. But it is concluded here, we may understand that this humble attitude assured Sudama Vipra final success in his execution of Bhakti Yoga by the standard process of hearing and repeating the glories of Lord Krishna. He would get that unflinching devotion, this prema. But this is, of course, commentary from Vishwanath, but let us also read the direct commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. I will read it. So you have devotion, and the result of that devotion is gaining wealth. No, I do not have bhakti, and the result of bhakti is not wealth. So that is expressed in this verse. It does not give wealth, power, or wife and family. There is no danger for them if the Lord gives wealth to such intelligent devotees as Prahlad. However, I am not intelligence, Adirgha Bodhaya. Since I have no devotion, so the Lord does not give it to me. This means that Sudama, having got that wealth, then thought, what is the use of it? Enjoying what was there as was necessary to maintain himself, he became fixed in his vows and sleeping on the earth. He became completely absorbed in hearing and chanting and other types of service. The Lord does not increase wealth to make the devotee happy. However, some say that he will give a slight amount in order to help the service the devotee is performing in prema. So, that was Sudama taught like this. And he lived in this palace. He was living in his palace like in his hut before. Very simple. That he was not inclined to enjoy all these things. He was still living very simple. But he became neutral. He became neutral. His attachment was to Krishna only. No aversion anymore to wealth. So we have here 38. Sukadev Goswami continued, thus firmly fixing his determination by means of his spiritual intelligence. Sudama remained absolutely devoted to Lord Krishna, the shelter of all living beings. Free from avarice, he enjoyed together with his wife the sense pleasures that had been bestowed upon him, always with the idea of eventually renouncing all sense gratification. That so text 39. Lord Hari is the God of all gods, the master of all sacrifices, and the supreme ruler. But he accepts the saintly Brahmins as his masters, and so there exists no deity higher than them. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that even though Sri Krishna is the supreme ruler of creation, he accepts the Brahmins as his master. Even though he is the God of all gods, the Brahmins are his deities, and even though he is the Lord of all sacrifices, he performs sacrifices to worship them. Now, 40. Thus, seeing how the unconquerable Supreme Lord is nonetheless conquered by his own servants, the Lord's dear Brahman friend felt the remaining knots of material attachment within his heart being cut by the force of his constant meditation on the Lord. In a short time he attained Lord Krishna's supreme abode, the destination of great saints. Purport. Sudama's earthly fortune has been described, and now Sukadev Goswami describes the treasure of the Brahman enjoyed in the next world. Sri Jiva Goswami mentioned as Sudama's last trace of illusion lay in the subtle pride of being a renounced Brahman. This trace was also destroyed by his contemplating the Supreme Lord's submission to his devotees, a subtle contamination, thinking himself a renounced Brahman. So Krishna wanted to bring him to the stage of Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Uchate, the stage of neutrality. That is the mood of the devotee. Aversion to the world is what we often preach. What is the use of this world, we say, etc., etc. So we also preach, what can you take with you? All negative. But this is simply to break the attachment. But the fact is that we should not be averse. So this is the mature stage. We should not be averse to matter. We should not be averse to something that belongs to the one we love. We should see it favorably, as it can be used in Krishna's service. So Sudan was elevated by Krishna to that stage. That was the gift of Krishna, really. Not external opulence. This was the last snare of illusion, and Krishna, by his expert medicinal dose, gave him the opulence of heaven. Thus the pride of being renounced and the tendency to avoid sense gratification or the tendency to enjoy the objects of sense gratification were all removed by constant meditation on the Lord with devotion. So Sudan finally accepted the opulence of Krishna's mercy. So, Vishwanath Thakur comments. This verse shows Sudama's liberation from material wealth and his attainment of spiritual wealth, seeing that the Lord, unconquerable by any, is conquered or controlled by his devotees. Sudama returned to his previous nature and meditated on the Lord. Now the last verse. The Lord always shows Brahmans special favor. Anyone who hears this account of the Supreme Lord's kindness to Brahmins will come to develop love for the Lord and thus become free from the bondage of material work. So that's the benediction. That's the benediction. So, someone wants to read the last purpose, please.
Yeah, in the introduction to the chapter of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead that describes this pastime, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada comments, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super soul of all living entities, knows everyone's heart hearts very well. He is especially inclined to the Brahmana devotees. Lord Krishna is also called Brahmana Deva, which means that he is worshipped by the Brahmanas. Therefore, it is understood that a devotee who is fully surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead has already acquired the position of a Brahmana. Without becoming a Brahmana, one cannot approach the Supreme Brahman, Lord Krishna. Krishna is especially concerned with vanquishing the distress of his devotees, and he is the only shelter of pure devotees. Thank you, Maharaj.
Good, thank you. He's the only shelter of the pure devotees. He vanquishes the distress of his devotees by removing their material attachment. So, very good. Then, Pavitra Prabhu, your comments, your question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj, for the wonderful class. Maharaj, in text number 26,
Yeah.
the commentary of the Shamnaka Chakrabarti says that a woman considers husband as a spiritual master. And before we are told that we have only three types of spiritual masters: the father who gives the body, the initiating guru, and the one who, or Shiksha guru. But today again we hear that the husband is a spiritual master for the wife. Is it fourth guru?
Well, this I would not situate that in this system of classification. But if you want, you can say it's the fourth guru, but that it's not for everyone. That, but of course, guru nasasya svajana nasasya. That to be guru, one must be able to liberate one's descendants. That one must be able to liberate them. That so if the father, if the husband is a devotee, then yes, that he can be the guru of his wife, but that is not always the case. That that sometimes it's reverse also. We see that of the pastimes of the Brahmins, the wives of the Brahmins. After they met Krishna, they came home, and their husbands, these Brahmins, accepted them as their guru, because they were more spiritually advanced. That, but of course, there's also different angles of view on that. You can see it from the Varnashram system, and the husband protects the wife and guides her. That in that way, but the husband can only be the guru of the wife if he knows how to liberate her. But Sudama was certainly qualified. Was a very qualified devotee, so he was able to function as the guru of his wife, but because of his humility, he did not see himself as a guru. One who thinks himself a guru is not a guru. That's wrong. A guru thinks himself only the servant of the servant of the servant of his guru. And everything happens by the mercy of the spiritual master. And Srila Prabhupada saw like this. Wherever he went, he saw, wherever he went, he said, "It's my Guru Maharaj who brought you to me to assist me in his mission." He never put himself in the center. He did not see himself as the Guru. That although he was a founder Acharya. Does that help, Pavitra?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you. Good. Vishalaksha Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. So wonderfully you have explained about the Brahmana Sudama Vipra. So here how Lord Sri Krishna, being the Supreme Lord, wants so eagerly to serve his devotee, Sudama Vipra, and same Sudama Vipra wants to serve Krishna very nicely. Very sweet exchange, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So my question is that here Lord is Supreme Lord and Sudama Vipra is a Jiva. Still, why Supreme Master wants to serve personally? Is there any specific reason, Maharaj?
Well, that is a very nice observation that the Supreme Lord is in our hearts and He wants to serve all living entities. He reciprocates with them. He reciprocates with them, with their desires, also in the material world. Of course, in the material world, our desires are fulfilled according to what we deserve. That's another thing. That's a law of karma. But in devotional service, we become above it. And Krishna is in our heart. He knows the desires. Recently, I was walking on the street and I had a winter jacket, but it looked a bit funny. It was green color, and yeah, it's not going together with the color of a sannyasi. I was just thinking for a moment that it's a weird color. It would be better orange. And 10 minutes later, a devotee called me from a shop, and he was saying, I want to offer you a winter jacket. And he showed me to WhatsApp a picture, an orange one. So I was thinking, I didn't tell that to anyone. And suddenly, 10 minutes later, he calls me. So that is Krishna. It's not that Krishna reciprocates only with Sudama, with all of us. Especially, he reciprocates with us when we give up our attachment, but he notices our desires that can be used in his service, and he's pleased with that. So that's so beautiful that because finally the great benediction is, or the goal is, that we learn to live every moment in our relationship with Krishna. So Krishna is so kind, and he says that in Bhagavad Gita, Ananta Sintiyantamam Yechna Priyapashta Tesham Nityabhyuktanam Yogakshema Vamyam. To my devotee, I give everything what he needs for his service, and I protect the spiritual advancement he has made. So, but the highest benediction is that he gives us this unalloyed love for him. That is prema. Dadami bodhyogam tam. Does that help, Vishalakshapa?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj,
Thank you.
for kindly sharing.
Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada. So, anything else?
This is pure nectar, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Good. Then we will continue on Tuesday, because tomorrow is Nityananda's Prabhu's appearance day, a very special day. I wish you, and today's Faradev's appearance day also. So very important days where we can hear about the Lord and his pastimes. Thank you very much. Jai Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.